Hi, everybody. It's Lauren Young here from Living Waters. I am so excited to be on the Kim Sorrelle Show. Today, we talked about what leading with love actually looks like. And Kim really challenged me today to dive deeper into some of the struggles as an entrepreneur, but also some of the wins. This episode is ideal for anyone who has been on a long entrepreneurial journey of more than 5 years and wants a story of resilience and hope. We also talked about faith. My faith in God is a huge part of who I am, and I really do give Jesus glory for where I'm at in my life. And lastly, Kim also shared her thoughts on resiliency and self-care and what it means to do deep inner work. So, really excited, super excited to hang out with you guys.
Welcome to the show. I'm so happy you're here. You are going to be so happy you're here. I'm Kim Sorrelle. I write, I speak. I get to do so many fun things in life, but my favorite thing to do by far is to meet people. And I get to meet some really, really cool people. Today, I have Lauren with me, and we met a little while ago in New York. And as soon
Yeah.
as I saw her, you know how there's those people that you're just magnetically drawn to? As soon as I saw her and saw her smile, I'm like, man, I need to know this person. And so I'm excited that she's become a friend and that I
Yeah.
know her. And I'm so excited that she's on the show today. She's an
Yep.
entrepreneur. She's extremely accomplished and humble. So we'll see how much she wants to talk about it. How she's not going to brag, but hopefully we'll get it out of her. And so I just want to say, let's dive in. Lauren, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Kim. It's a pleasure to be here. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to share my story. And yes, we met through a mutual friend, Kyle, and he had a wonderful event here in New York City. And the moment I met you, I felt the same way. I remember you were one of the first people that I saw when I walked through the door, and you have a light to you. I feel like it's the light of Christ, but then also just who you are. It's amazing. So
Oh
I'm
my
really
God.
happy to be here. The founder of Living Waters Global, as you know,
Yeah.
serial entrepreneur of almost 12 years, which is absolutely wild to me. And I
No
also
kidding.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I also
We're
work in
gonna get
IR
into
for,
I know
yeah.
it's so
I mean,
cool.
12
We're gonna get
years,
into
like
all of it. I
life
know
is, it's
yes.
wild.
Time goes by and you're like, what just happened? But yes, yeah.
These 30s, they go quickly. It's been interesting,
Yeah.
but it's been good. It's been
Okay,
good.
so I want people to really get to know you. So first I want to start with 8-year-old Lauren. Tell me
Okay.
about her.
8-year-old?
Yes.
Or 18. Okay. 8-year-old Lauren. So grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. My dad's a retired Army veteran. He did 20 years. My mom's a school teacher. So 8-year-old Lauren, she was really focused on creativity. Funny enough, a lot of the goals I set when I was a little girl, actually back to 6 years old, I accomplished in my life. So and my mom has this on video when I think I was about 6 or 7. I had a birthday, and my mom asked me, well, "What are your goals in life?" And one of them, I said, "I want to be in Miss America. I want to be in a pageant, Mom, and I want to win Miss America." Now, I didn't end up winning, but I did compete in Miss America for 5 years. So that's a really unique part of my story that people don't know. I did Miss Dallas, Miss Fairview. I also competed at my school at the regional level for Miss Black and Gold, which is an Alpha Phi Alpha pageant. And then another goal that I had set when I was a little girl was I wanted to be a scientist, specifically a paleontologist because Jurassic Park was pretty cool at that time. So that's what I was focused on. And no, I didn't become a paleontologist, but I did major in biology and I worked in the hospital in the lab. And the third thing is I told my mom, and this is the best part, I want to be kind to people. I want to be kind to people who are mean to other people. I said that as a kid. And
Oh,
funny enough, life has played out in such a way where I do that as part of my job with Living Waters. And it's spectacular. It's
wow.
spectacular.
That's so cool. I mean, there's not a whole lot of moms that would ask that question. So kudos to your mom. And then to have it on video, I love that. And so that you can always remember these were your goals at that age. And a lot of kids at that age, their goals are things like to be a fireman, to be a police officer, whatever, be a dog. I don't know, like all kinds of crazy goals,
I
right?
wanted a dog.
Yeah.
We got one. We got one.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's good. So you had fun in school. You were
I had fun in school. Elementary school was really good for me. I was in a lot of transition. So I went from a private school, and then my parents did a couple year experiment where I went to public school for 3 years. That was a very hard experience. Not that, I mean, the public school system is unique, and I think there's plenty of excellent public schools. And technically, where I graduated from is a public school, but it's a magnet school I ended up going to for high school. But yeah, I would say early elementary was great. I went to Providence in Atlanta, wonderful school, and Knight Elementary before that. But then as I transitioned into middle school, it was rough. It wasn't easy. I think we all go through those growing pains. My teenage years, early teenage years were interesting. That's what I'll say. I wasn't the most popular. I was very nerdy. And as I got to be 12 and 13, I really hit the books hard, but I made the honor roll every year. And I studied, I played viola. I played viola for 14 years. And I actually now am rejoining a community orchestra here in New York. I don't know if you know that about me. So yeah,
Oh,
play
good
play
for you.
viola.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I've got two grandkids that are orchestra. In fact,
Oh
this
wow.
Saturday I'm going to University of Michigan and I have a
Oh, go
granddaughter
blue.
playing the cello, not in their top orchestra, but she's got a concert on Saturday night. And so I get to go to that. And I've got a granddaughter who plays viola. I
That's
love the
amazing.
viola. Yeah, yeah, that is amazing.
It's a
Yeah, there's
great
something,
instrument.
and it's not only a great instrument, but it's a great thing to be involved in orchestra. When you're involved in music, your mind starts to work in different ways.
Yes.
Like it opens up things, and then other things become easier because of what you're doing with your mind and music. So, man, I always encourage people. I am not musical, but I played the clarinet for a few years. I was in
Oh,
choir. Like I tried with music, but if you can do music, do it. I think it's a great thing to encourage your kids to do, be involved in music. So good for you, viola. It's great. It is a great instrument for sure.
thank you. I love it. I mean, when I first joined the orchestra, I was in elementary school and it wasn't what I was focused on. I actually wanted to play the cello, and now my hands have grown, but my nickname even to this day, my dad and my mom call me Little Hands because I had such tiny hands, even as a little girl. I mean, my hands, like I have long nails, but like they're just small. And I had such difficulty playing the cello, and I settled on viola. But it's good. It's a good choice, and it's been really unique. It helps with math and science as well. I'm sure you know. So yeah.
Yeah, 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 that's so cool. And I love it that you're still doing something with it, that you're now doing something with it again, because so many people they spend all these years, right? Like you said, elementary school. So even if you start in sixth grade, and you do it through high school, that's 6 years you've been playing an instrument. Some people much longer than that by the time they graduate from high school. And then for some people, that's it. And
Yeah.
there are so many opportunities out there for like local orchestras, local bands, local whatever that you can get involved in. And so you don't have to just put it on a shelf and forget that you ever did it. Like keep it going.
No, you
And it's
don't. You
great.
don't. You
Yeah.
don't. A couple years ago, maybe 3, 4 years ago, I had this itch. I had stopped playing for about 5.5 years, and I just started reading sheet music again. And plus, my mom did text me one day and said, "I have these two violas. Please, please come get them, please." So that did push. My mom was like, I don't want to throw them out. I love it. We spent money on these. Please come get your violas. So, yeah. So, I'm going to go actually this summer. The World Cup is in Atlanta. So, I'll be with my parents for a few weeks and I will go get both of my old violas. So,
Wow.
excited. I'll probably end
Yeah.
up bring one of them. I'm really excited. So,
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's so awesome. That's so cool. So you wanted to be in pageants. When did that start happening for you?
So I was recruited. Okay, I'll say this. My mom wanted me to be in pageants when I was younger. Parkview High School, where I went before undergrad in Georgia, they had something called Miss Parkview, and I my mom had put me in some child pageants, but just because of like the negative connotations, sometimes that can come with child pageants, she kept me away from pageants for quite a while. Then Miss Parkview came. I wanted to do it in high school, and my parents were like, you should really focus on your studies. But when you're in college, if you want to do pageants, you can. And there was a recruiter from Miss Fort Worth, and they were basically looking for girls that came from a background that wasn't pageantry. And I was so blessed that not only did they sponsor me to the tune of about $15,000, helps me hire a personal trainer, helps me with everything, etiquette, speech, all of my dresses and my sponsorships, I was provided a coach as well. So Candace Crawford, who married Tony Romo, her mom, Dana, helped me quite a lot as well in my pageant journey. And the dress that I wore in Miss Dallas was actually Candace's dress, who is now Candace Romo. That was her dress, I think, from Miss Texas Teen. So
Wow.
it really, yeah, it was really cool. I mean, it was such a process. It's like if you've seen the Princess Diaries with Anne Hathaway,
Mhm.
where they're like doing her eyebrows, and they're like, here you go. Or even Miss Congeniality with Sandra Bullock, which I love that movie. That was my process. I lost about 25 pounds. I had to really get in the mode of being a competitor, similar to bodybuilding. But what I love about Miss America is that you do receive an overall score for your GPA. So my GPA was a 3.67 when I competed, I believe my sophomore year, and that really, I did pretty well. I was second runner up, and I was overall interview winner 2 years in a row. Hunter
Wow.
Daniels produced our pageant in 2012. Hunter, if you ever see this episode, I still appreciate you. I loved that crew. It was amazing. Yeah, it was a great experience. So
Yeah, I love that you did that. It's so interesting to me. The people that are not involved in it uh, don't have any idea, right? Like
yeah,
what all is involved. And they just think these women, these beautiful women, just get out on stage and they walk and like anybody can do it. And it's so not true. I mean, there's so much training and training and training that goes into it. And
took a year.
yeah, absolutely. And so and the interview winner, your parents had to be pretty proud of that. Like
Yes.
that's really good. Yeah.
Yes, yes, and a few years in a row. And I'll see if I can find a picture to send to you. It'll be fun. But yeah,
Yeah.
basically it was just so unique, and that's the hardest category to win because you're put on the spot and you have to answer within a certain time. They time you on the answers. But even today, the gift of gab, what I like to call it, is essentially God blessed me with a loquacious nature. I love to talk to people. And so the judges felt like I was very natural on stage and off stage. So in Miss America, there's two. There's the on-stage portion, which is one question, and then we have typically 6 to 10 questions in the background. And funny enough, I think this year I was talking to a friend of mine who still competes, Taryn, some other people. They upped the age limit. So I think it was used to be 27. I think it might be 32 now. So I'm proud of Miss America for like being more open. That's really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it creates opportunities at every
Yes.
level, right? So every level moving up to even be on the Miss America stage, like there's opportunity, opportunity, opportunity. And so it's really been a great organization through the years and given so many women opportunity, a
Yes.
platform and a place to be heard, which is always good, especially for women. We need those opportunities. And so thanks for representing. Like, go
No,
you.
thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you for
that's so
mentioning it.
cool.
And any girls out there that are interested, there's all kinds of information and resources. The one thing I'll say is that I also won quite a lot of scholarship money. I probably run through the years about 25 to 35,000. So even for interview winner, you win $6,000 to $10,000 for that. So
Wow.
there's a scholarship in every category. Oh yeah, it's wonderful. It's not just the overall winner. You can win scholarship money. That's why a lot of women compete. Some girls, I have friends that have paid for their entire education competing in pageants.
Wow. Wow.
That's
Wow.
fun.
That's fantastic. Because school's expensive.
Yes, it is.
So if you can get some help with that, that is really great. That's really cool. Well, and it gives you confidence and it gives you, the quick answer that you have to do on stage. I mean, it's like an elevator pitch, right? Like it's
It
got to
is.
help you in
30
business.
seconds.
Yeah. So it's got to really help you in business to be able to say, this is what I did, when somebody says, so tell me about you. You can do it in 30 seconds, and which is a skill not everybody has, and people work at it and work at it. So it's nice that you were taught that. How did it work out though? Like classes and competing, like
Ooh,
hard.
college for me was very busy. It was wonderful. I also was blessed that we didn't end up getting married, but I was engaged very young. So I was engaged at 20 years old. So I had a relationship with a wonderful man who is now gone on and he's a doctor and we're still good friends to this day. But it was a balancing act. So I was pre-med. I was a part of what UT Dallas called the Living Learning Communities. And so we had a certain amount of community service hours. We had a certain amount of hours in the hospital. for me, I was HPAC, which is the healthcare branch of this program that UT Dallas still has to this day. And then I also was competing in pageants. And remember, you have to maintain at least a 3.2 GPA to compete. So difficult. It was difficult. I mean, not impossible. I basically studied every Saturday. I'll never forget. I used to, even now, like, I think that discipline is carried into my business because my friends would be going out and partying, doing whatever, and I would be at the library with my book, and I'd set a timer for 10 hours, and I'd be there from 8 o'clock in the morning until 6 or 7 p.m. at night. And that's how I got through a lot of my exams at UT Dallas. But it was, it taught me so much how to stand on my own. And the biggest thing I think is I had a friend of mine, Mary, who really helped me through that time. She would be there for me. She would cook for me, hang out in her apartment, and having support too of like my church community was really big. I was a part of Focus, which is a Christian organization on campus. We did a lot of missions work. It was good. It helped me balance. I think if I could go back, the only thing I would change is I think I would have been more aggressive in the way I competed because I was more passive kind of. I did it more for fun, which I think is really, really good. But had I been a little more strategic, I could have really gone far. I could have gone, there are girls who compete to Miss Universe and really go on to do wonderful things. I could have made a career out of it. I wish I had done a little bit more, but you never know. Like in life, it works out. And I ended up starting my business too in undergrad. So I found my business partner when I was turning 22. So that's how it worked out.
Yeah, yeah. So you're pre-med and you were thinking about med school. Those are not
Yes.
easy classes. None of that is easy. And
Yep.
so
Took
doing
the
all
MCAT
of
four
it all
times.
good. What's that?
Took
Took
the
the,
MCAT four times.
yeah.
The first time I took the MCAT, my score was atrocious. And I mean, I'm high resilience, high autonomy. So I studied, studied, studied. The third time I took it, my score was so impressive. I went to my biochemistry professor. I'll never forget. He said, "Your MCAT scores are so strong." He's like, "I'm surprised." He said, "Wow." I'll never forget it.
Well, thanks
And
for being
so
surprised. Oh, geez.
well, I was in pageants, I was in a sorority, all these things, right? So he just, I won't say what he said because I don't want UTD to reach out to me. But, but there's a certain, people will look at you based off an aesthetic and think like this is the way you should be. But that's just not who I was. You can be beautiful and smart. It's okay.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, it is okay. Yeah, exactly, exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine that's something that you ran into more than once, uh,
Yeah.
because yeah, people do make assumptions about people when they see them,
Yeah.
and which isn't good. I don't agree with that at all. Like we're so all
Yeah.
individual that take the individual. Like I had somebody recently, Lauren, talk to me about that they thought this group of people, they put a label on this group of people, and they thought things about them that were negative. But then they got to know one of them personally, and then another one personally, and it changed everything for them.
Wow.
And so the more we keep in mind, we are all individual. This
Yeah.
is the shell we're in. This is what we look like, whatever,
Yeah.
what gender we are, whatever we are. But don't label people. Like, to me, that's not love. Like, take those labels away. And yes, absolutely, you can be beautiful and smart and accomplished all at the same time and play the viola, all of it. And be
Yeah. All of it.
oh,
All of it.
yeah,
All of it.
yeah,
All of it. All of
yeah.
it.
So you took the MCAT, you scored
Took
really
the
well.
MTech, scored beautiful, ended up getting like a fellowship program. So my junior year, I ended up working at a vet clinic. And that's actually like when I had a major encounter with God as well when I was an undergrad, because, and we can talk about this soon, but like I left the church for a few years. I really needed to find out who I was without other people's beliefs being imposed upon me, which is now, even now, I have a faith-based company, but I do not impose my beliefs on other people. I choose to live a lifestyle that honors the Lord. And so, yeah, I worked at a vet clinic, was working at UT Southwestern underneath Dr. Elizabeth Race. They have a program called it's called the Green Fellowship, or at least it used to be. I don't know if UTD still does the Green Fellowship program, but that was supposed to transition me directly into medical school. And I ended up dropping out and becoming a full-time entrepreneur. So didn't drop out of school totally, just dropped out of the track to go to medical school. I ended up spending 5 years at UTD to finally graduate. And then what happened was that I decided that working on the business side of medicine was going to be much more effective for me. Very scary for my parents, but I knew it was the right choice for me.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
That's my story.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear your parents are thinking, oh, she's going to be a doctor. She'll be set.
Yes.
Okay. And then you go out into this other journey that is the unknown, you
It, you
right?
have no idea. You have,
Yeah.
and to this day, I mean, now it all worked out, right? But that's 12 years ago. I remember having a conversation with my dad. He had picked me up from the airport in Atlanta because I would go back all the time. I was living in Dallas most for over 8 years. And he just said, what are you doing? Like, can you really do this? Like my father, by the way, is an entrepreneur. He builds homes now for the VA. He does a lot of government contracts, but he was a contractor. And when I was in high school, if you know hospitality, he did a lot of the Candlewood Suites in Atlanta. And so my dad knew the woes, the ups and the downs of entrepreneurship. And he was like, my goal for you was to not have to deal with the variable income. He was like, you were supposed to be a doctor, marry the guy you were engaged to, and go about your life. But man plans and God laughs.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that the truth? Yeah. Yeah. That is so true.
It wasn't meant to be that way. And funny enough, so my dad came in 2024. He came up here to New York and we spent like a week together. And that trip was so good. And I think now in hindsight, my dad and I have a spectacular relationship. We go on a trip pretty much every year. I do the same with my both my parents. But yeah, I mean, at the time it was the unknown, Kim. It was very scary. And my business partner at the time, she was fairly young too. And we came from a different cultural background. So just learning about nuances and doctors and in general medical ancillary supply was a new field. And so I had to adapt. I had to grow, I had to learn. So
Yeah. Yeah. And there's not a better time to do that than at that age.
yes.
Like, whatever. Like some people wait until they're in their 50s to start a new career and be an entrepreneur or at whatever age. And it's like right out of the gate, you're like, nope, I'm doing this. And that's you learn so much, which is so
Yes.
great. I mean, your college education is fantastic, but real life education takes things to a whole new level. And so
Yes.
that is pretty cool. So you were talking about your faith and you were talking about, for a few years you just were kind of questioning. First of all, I have to say I love that. I think that
Yeah.
so many people that are raised in a Christian home, they are Christians because their parents are. It's just
Yes.
kind of easy to be that, but to be what you want to be, to understand your own beliefs and develop your own beliefs, because one Christian church is not like the next or like the next. I mean, every talk about nuances, right? So to go and explore and go, what do I believe? What do I believe? Like that good for you. I mean, I think that that's a really valuable thing to do.
Thank you so much for saying it. And I don't talk about this much. There's friends of mine who are probably going to listen to this and be like, "Really? I didn't know that about you." But I went on a deep journey. So the church that my parents went to when I was in high school did a theism class. I think I was 17 or 18, and we read the Book of Mormon, the Quran. I looked at various kinds of ancient texts. I ended up practicing yoga for about 2 years. I mean, I looked into Reiki. I understood a lot about crystals. I'm the type of person where, and it's because I have a neurodivergent brain. I was diagnosed OCD when I was a kid, very mild, but it's actually, I think, a part of my superpower. I need to study things deeply and understand them before I can really be like, okay, I'm committed to this. Now, what's interesting about my experience and now where I'm at with Jesus and just how like I've built this beautiful life with the Lord and it's just been spectacular. I had an encounter with God when I went to the upper room that changed me forever. Basically, I had been kind of estranged from the church for 4 or 5 years. Like I had done some campus ministry things with Focus, but there are parts of my heart where I'd grown a little bit. I don't want to say bittered, but just I don't like performative Christianity. I don't. I really believe that we are meant to live a life that oozes the love of God. For God so loved the world, right? That he gave his only begotten son. And so, whosoever believes in him will not perish, but will have everlasting life. We should be full of life all the time. And I saw a lot of Christians who, even with me, who grew up in the church, I felt condemned by, and I felt shunned and excluded. And
Mhm.
I never wanted that for anyone. And so I went on this amazing journey. And I don't want to cry, but God used Michael and Larissa in my life. Upper Room Church is now, most people know Upper Room for their music, their spectacular music. But yeah, I was there when it was 100 people. My friend Mary Deloa, shout out to you, Mary, brought me to the Upper Room. And really changed my life. That encounter with God shifted who I was forever. And I was also building a business. And I really laid my life down before the Lord. The first day I met Michael Miller, I worked at the vet clinic below the original upper room. Chip Cannon was my boss. I walk upstairs to go to the prayer room. Michael goes, "Hi, I'm Michael." I was like, "Hi, I'm Lauren." He's like, "You look like Jesus." That shifted things for me, Kim. That
Wow.
day shifted me. And I was like, I need to find out what this church is about. This is about because I had never experienced anything like that. And I had been in the church most of my life as a child and a young.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's so interesting. Uh, I think it's sad how we've messed things up, like
Yeah.
gotten so far away from in so many ways, gotten far away from what Jesus taught. And then we weaponize the Bible. We take the Bible and like as if we're followers of the Bible. We're not followers of the Bible. We're followers of Jesus that happen to have this book that helps us out. But
Yes.
yeah, right. But instead, so often it gets used against people and a verse taken here and a verse taken there. And hey, I can tell you all kinds of things about feeling condemned and feeling judged in my own faith because I
Yeah.
I don't fit in a box. I don't put God in a box. Like I think that too often we condemn whole people groups as Christians. And it's like, who would you ever like? Why would that ever be a thing as a Christian? Did Jesus? No. Ever?
No,
No.
he took in the rejects.
Yeah, exactly. And it was the opposite. It was love, like you're talking about. And
Yeah.
and so yeah. So I think if we got back to that, like if a lot of people like you and me were doing it, but if other people got to the core of it, the core of Christianity, the core of who Jesus was, who Jesus is, and then be like Jesus, not be like the Bible, not follow these laws and hold them against people, but just what would Jesus say to it? Because if there's ever a contradiction, if you're ever reading part of the Bible and you go, "Guy, I don't get it because God is love. So how does that work?" And Jesus said this. Well, if that ever happens, Jesus trumps. Jesus wins.
Yes, he does. Yes,
So
he does.
whatever, go with what he said.
Yeah.
Go with what you know
Yeah.
about Jesus. And
And that's what he says, I am. And here's the thing. I think, again, this morning I was reading in Psalms 105 about sing to the Lord and rejoice in all he's done. And it's about the persecution of prophets and what Joseph went through. And touch not my anointed ones, do my prophets no harm. I hear you. I think what it is we are still people. And we have to allow one of my favorite verses in the Bible, Hebrews 4 and 12, for the word of God is living and active, sharper than any two-edged sword. We have to go back into the word and let that thing pierce our heart so that we can actually live it out. I think a lot of people miss that disconnect. They want to throw a verse in your face, but they won't live it out. And again, you know what's so awesome is he's with me all the time behind closed doors
Mhm.
when I leave my boyfriend, when I'm not doing the, I'm it's just me and him. He knows where my heart posture actually is. And
Mhm.
I am who he says I am. right? So I think we're getting there. I believe there is a reawakening happening. I was talking to a friend of mine, especially in the business world. That's part of why the Holy Spirit inspired the name Living Waters. God gave this name to me when I was 18 years old. I had an encounter with God when I was 18. Even then, I could hear the voice of God, but I was more, I don't want to say skeptical. I had just been through a lot when I was very young. And yeah, he was like, "You're going to start this company called Living Waters." I thought it was going to be a hospital. I was not. I did.
Yeah, well, let's get into that. But before we do, I just want to
Oh,
say
oh,
also that I'm not judging anybody. Like, I think, it's not my job to judge. I get to believe how I believe. You get to believe how you believe. Anybody else in the world gets to believe how they believe. Like, as I want grace to believe how I do, I need to extend that grace to others to believe how they do. And we all come from different places, right? Nobody's
correct.
walking in each other's shoes. And so what we've been taught, what we've heard, everything leads us to where we are today. And so, and I also want to say it's okay to shift. It's okay to change. It's okay to realize something that you never realized before, to be awakened to something. All of that's okay. Like, give yourself that kind of grace also to evolve in your thinking, evolve in your faith, and grow. And so anyway, I just wanted to throw that in. So,
No, you're right. You're right. And thank you for saying that because when a lot of people don't know this about me, but I have deep relationships with people who are not even Christians. I mean, I have there's a friend of mine, I'll shout it, Richard and Misty, they're in LA. They're Buddhists. We have been friends for almost 7 years. I love them. I love their son and their future daughter, hopefully, and they're excited. They're doing well. And it's because in life, the path that I've walked as a business owner, but also just they've seen God do things in my life over the last 7 years. And I'll go to their house and we'll talk, and we talk about all kinds of things, and we talk about Jesus, and I pray for them, but they are Buddhists. They're practicing Buddhists. And so I think that that actually makes also a stronger witness, but also can you miss out on depth of relationship when you are too close-minded and too judgmental. It's not who I am. I love so deeply, and I know you do because you wrote a book about love. And I think that that is I think more of us need to tap into that in our heart. It's very important. It's very
mm,
important.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So your business journey was a little
Yes.
rocky. It's nice if you come right out of the gate and have super success, but it's also okay if you stumble a little because those are the biggest learning times, right? So
Yeah.
talk about
Yeah.
your journey.
Yeah. So first company, I won't say the name because I don't know legally where we're at with that, but we ended up dissolving it. But it was a medical ancillary business. I had a business partner. We did really well. So coming out of the gate, a couple years in, we ended up working with about 57 reps all over the country, some of to which I'm still friends with to this day, mostly on surgical equipment. And our biggest like seller was an ANS testing system that tested patients for diabetes and heart disease in under 10 minutes. That was our bread and butter as a business. Love my business partner. We were hardcore entrepreneurs, 100 calls a day, cold emailing doctors, cold calling doctors, buying doctors lunches. But that taught me the discipline of what it was to build a business. And then the best part about kind of what happened was in 2018, we were transitioning into looking at doing more in the aesthetic side. So if you're familiar with Juvederm and looking at like medical spas, you
Mhm.
familiar?
Yeah.
So basically, we were looking at focusing on female doctors, not only in Dallas, but in other neighboring states and then California. We ended up finding an adipose slash like what I'll call bone stem cell clinic, not amnio, but where you take your own stem cells and they're re-injected into the body. So there was an investment banker who was purchasing these clinics, and he walked in the clinic, and I'm there with the director and my business partner, and he had seen us at another clinic in Beverly Hills, and he said, "Is this your company?" we were like, yeah, yeah, this is our company. And he said, I'd love to talk to you. Have you ever thought about a career in bank? And Jules, shout out to you. Jules Chomsky walked into the clinic, and Jules ended up recruiting me to work for CB Capital Partners. So CB Capital is still an operational investment bank in Newport Beach. They're mostly boutique. They do a lot also on the buy side. Chris came out of Bear Stearns, and that was my, like, how shall I say it? I don't want to call it hazing, but a push into finance. And so I had no experience, no prior knowledge. I did not know how to read a profit and loss statement, no experience doing company valuations, no experience. And Jules looks at Chris, and I'm 26, I think at the time, 27, and he goes, I want to see what this girl can do. And Chris goes, all right. So I'm there, and a lot of the analysts were 22 years old. And so I'm restarting my career now at 27. But that 2.5 years changed my life. I shifted fully into finance, and Jules actually encouraged me to apply to go back to school in 2021 when I left the bank and started Living Waters. And now I've been on this process. He encouraged me to go back to school again at Columbia. So, still on that journey. It's been a long, long journey, hopefully done soon, but pursuing not only my master's, but just continuing education in the business world, accounting, and then I am doing financial analysis. And I ended up working with Jules to bring LPs into real estate transactions. And so through that, I met a lot of family offices, and I still work with the same families to this day. My first client in New York is a gentleman named Dr. Friedman. Shout out to Dr. Friedman. He's a wonderful person. He came from the medical sector, but ended up developing quite a robust real estate portfolio as well as some other assets. And so, yeah, that's what I do. My business partner, she ended up moving to basically back to another country with her partner. And then with me, I pursued Living Waters full time, 2 year stint at CB, and now I've been on my own almost 6 years in February. So that's my entrepreneurial journey. And I mean, there's a lot in there. I'll take a pause, but that's it. That's the gist of it. So.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, there is a lot in there because there's transition in there. Transition is something that people can have a hard time with. So, what were your ups and downs or secrets or whatever for big transitions?
Okay, let's talk about the first one. So going from the medical to finance. There were a lot. I dealt with a lot of imposter syndrome for probably 4 years. So I would say from 2019 to 2023, a ton of imposter syndrome, a ton of difficulty. And then unfortunately, Jules got sick. He's still alive, thank God, praise the Lord. But he was diagnosed with something that could be terminal. And so he ended up sharing his book of relationships with me and trusting me with it. So I felt immense pressure on me in the best way possible to really perform. And at the time, I was at this crossroads where I could take this book, keep building at CB, which by the way, Chris would probably still take me back now if I wanted to work at the investment bank still, or I could go on my own. And I took the choice of going on my own. I took that risk all by myself. So proprietorship, which is like so terrifying, so terrifying. But so empowering and so awesome. And then I have some mentors to this day, again, in Beverly Hills who have owned other businesses in the medical sector and the marketing sector who were really encouraged me. And at the time, I was very much focused on private equity, which I still think is growing. We're going to see a lot of growth trends for the financial people on this call. I think private equity is, we're really going to see a lot of great direct investments from family offices and things like that. But the reason I went on my own is because I saw the upside and I was very ambitious, even at, I was what? I was about to turn 30, so I was 29. I was very ambitious. And so I still am, but I've kind of balanced it now. But that it's been the first transition was the most difficult because I had to relearn everything. I was in the hospital, working with doctors, working in the laboratory at UT Dallas on pipettes and titrations and various things to I'm looking now at financial statements. I'm learning how to evaluate a company. I'm a research analyst.
That's so good.
It's a
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
difference.
Big difference. Yes. Yeah. You would think completely different passions or completely different whatever. But in business, there are some things that it doesn't matter what business you're in, it carries over. The things that are true are true. And the things you need to know, no matter what business you're in. And so I always think, man, if you can be an entrepreneur and you can start a business and run a business, it doesn't matter if it's a restaurant, if it's a hospital, if it's a living waters, if it's whatever it happens to be, construction company, you can do it because you know the basics, you know the things you need to know to have success in business. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So business can be diverse and it's fun that way.
It is fun. It is fun. I mean, I think resiliency is a big key. And I know you've had stories of resilience for you. I think people drastically underestimate how long it takes. Even if you have quick success, which I did in my 20s, you're still going to have to balance it and keep the mentorship, like with Kyle, who we both love. Kyle Mathis, shout out to you with Tribe. We appreciate you, but you just have to keep that balance. And make sure you surround yourself with people who have the gravitas as well as what I'll say the confidence that they can see you do even better than them.
Mm-hmm.
Jules, to this day, still one of my number one fans. I check in with him and he's always supporting me and pushing me to be the best I can be. That is worth gold. That's
Mm-hmm.
worth gold.
Oh, it's so true. Yeah, yeah. Oh, 100%. And sometimes you don't get that from your family. A lot of times
Yeah.
your family saw you as a little girl or a little boy, whoever you happen to be,
Yeah.
and went, guy, that kid, he couldn't even keep his room clean, and now he thinks he can run a business. There can be a non-support that can happen sometimes with family, but
Yeah.
that's okay. It's their
Definitely.
understanding. And so yes, so then you meet other people that are in your corner that you want to be, that you want to emulate, that you want to learn from and grow and whatever. And it doesn't matter if they're related to you or not. There can be some of the most important people in your life.
Yes. One, you can create a family too. You
Mm-hmm.
can create a tribe. You create people, or you create a table of people to sit with you that you've built. And that's where I'm at now in my life and in this transition. I'm going through a second transition now because yes, I still have Living Waters and we're doing wonderful things, but I now also work internally for a family office based in Miami, which has been another transition. That's new this year. But I love it and I'm learning even more. It's so,
Yeah. Yeah. So
it
you're kind
doesn't
of on the
stop.
outside inside. Yeah. Yeah. Which it should never stop. It's a lifelong thing. Learning is a lifelong thing.
It
And
sure is.
and
Sure.
growing is a lifelong thing. So, yeah. So yeah, I think sometimes we dismiss that a little bit because really the wisest people in the world are the oldest people in the world. They have all this lived knowledge and all this wisdom that they've gained over the years. And
Yeah.
I feel like it's an untapped resource that we need to tap into and go, wow, we can learn so much from people who have walked the road already. Right. So, yeah.
Well, that's what you're doing. Even thank you so much for having me on the show today too. It's hearing people's stories is so important.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah.
even now I'm not a placement agent. I don't really raise capital for companies. What I focus on is building relationships, depth of relationships at the soul level, and then also too looking at things internally with the family and how like what's going on at the heart and the root. Like can we dig a little bit deeper? There's of course a transactional side to anything in the financial and capital markets, but those relationships are building what I'll call, and think about the word. It's building relationships that have a very strong foundation. Like my dad builds single family homes and other things. If the foundation's not laid correctly, it won't be able to weather the storms of life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm proud to say, soon enough, this month, I'm going to see one of my best friends of 17 years. Actually, I have two best friends of
Nice.
17 years. And it makes me optimistic that I'll be a great wife because I've been in two long-term relationships in 17 years. But those relationships are so critical through the changes and transitions. Her and I talked last night. There's life, so many changes. But can you adapt and can you also continue to champion your friends, your spouse as you go through transition in life?
Mhm.
And you have to choose to. You have to choose to do that.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's true. I love that you're talking about having this strong foundation relationship with people because I think that's missing in a lot of business because that's the heart, right? So often we think about the head and processes and strategies and whatever in business, but the heart's there too. And we dismiss it like you can go to work and leave your heart in the car. Well, you can't or you shouldn't, right? Because everything is about people. If you're an entrepreneur and you're employing people, you're responsible for those people. Like you should know them and love them. And if you're selling to people, they're giving you money. Like there should be a love for them for that, and a different amount of respect, even because they're the ones keeping you in business. And so leading with your heart is what it's all about. I truly believe you're doing it exactly right. It's heart first, and then the money will come. But when you do that, the money does come. And so I think, especially in the age of AI, where
Yes,
they're becoming less
we
and
got to talk about AI.
yeah, no kidding.
It's in every call.
Yeah. But with things becoming less and
Yeah.
less personal, uh, the people that are really going to succeed are the ones that are people first leaders, that are heart first leaders. And so,
Yes.
like you,
Well, thank you. Thank you. And like you, thank you so much. And I'll touch on the AI craze. There's a lot of people who are afraid of AI and taking away jobs and things like that. That it doesn't really scare me in this way. I think that interpersonal connection, like you just said, is something that we're really going to have to work on. And I'm seeing it in my generation. Like I'm a millennial, 35 this year. My birthday's in December. I see a disconnect sometimes in the way people, how there's a coldness sometimes and a hardness that can come with life. And my mom she's the mastermind behind this, and she's also one of my biggest cheerleaders. I love my mom. Love you, mom. You hear this, but you have to forgive, and you have to know when to walk away from a situation that's no longer serving you and let things go. It keeps you light. Forgiving people keeps you light on your toes, keeps you light in life, and you won't have those heavy burdens. And it shows in your posture and in the way you carry yourself. Like even you talking about you have grandkids. For those who listen to the show, I can't believe Kim has grandkids. She doesn't look like she has grandkids. Okay.
so sweet.
It's crazy. But it's because there's a lightness there. And you've learned how to just let go. And I'm the same way. I've learned how to just in life health has a lot to do with it, and I really do try and take care of my health. And I went on another transition that we can talk about where I lost 70 pounds in 2019 with a
Wow.
trainer that I still talk to weekly named Tyson in Dallas. He's a great man. But he helped me there too, dialing in on again the inner work. So I'll put a pin in it, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, good for you because you are in great shape and you're
Oh, thank you. I'm trying.
beautiful. Yes, and you have a great figure.
Summer's coming.
Yeah.
Excited for summer.
Yeah, no kidding. Always excited for summer. And so yeah, that's huge though. If you want to talk about that, let's talk about it. Like
Yeah,
what
I mean,
decide, hey, I want to make this shift to my body.
so man, again, I get recruited to work at the bank, making the transition, ended up having to live in California for a little bit, going through just a lot of transitions. So had been in Dallas for almost 10 years, ended up moving to California before I eventually moved to New York, but I was very overweight. I weighed in at 218 pounds. I can get the numbers from T to confirm. It might be 223. But at my heaviest, I was in the 200s. And you know what it was, Kim? I didn't work out probably for 5 years straight, building the business with my former partner. And I also had taken on a lot of the financial and emotional load from other people. I didn't know how to, in my early 20s and mid 20s, how to work through issues with people. I would just take that stuff on internally. I think 50% of weight loss is dialing into the nutrition. The other 50% is actually like, this is controversial, but I'll just say it. It's both a mental health and spiritual process where you have to allow God to remove the people out of your life who are pulling on you in a negative way. And if it is family or friends, pray to identify those people so that you can kind of move away. So, but we went through a rigorous training program. So Tyson's the one who, shout out to UT, Tyson the Transformer in Dallas, Texas. You can find him on Instagram, but he trained me during my pageant years, so in my early 20s. And then I walked into his office. I'll never forget. I was 20, turning 28. I was 27. And he just goes, Lauren, how did you get this big? How is it possible? Because at my competition weight, I was 120 pounds. So I was really lean, like 20, 30 pounds lighter than I am now. I think I'm probably 148 now. So I was, yeah, about 125 when I competed. And he was like, we have to dial this in. And I just told him, I said, T, I don't know how to get back there. And Tyson, God bless him, even to this day, he checks on me. And I started with just simple movement, walking first, then running. And I tracked my entire journey actually on my personal Instagram. You can go back and see the weight loss.
Wow.
And it was hard. I cried quite a lot. And I got to a place too where I think I had so much been focused on serving other people around me that I had forgotten how to take care of myself.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You've said a couple super important things.
Please.
And good for you. Like, kudos to you because it isn't an easy journey. And absolutely, it's mental. Absolutely, you're fighting whatever you're fighting in your mind, and absolutely, there are things in life that can bring you to that point. And so, you if you don't take care of those things, like I've read articles about people who have had gastric bypass surgery and gained the weight back because they never dealt with the mental part of it, the psychological
Yeah.
part of it, right? So it happens. And so it's so true. And so to do it, keep it off, like go you. Congratulations on that. You're an inspiration to a lot of people. But you said how there are people in your life you got to cut out of your life. And I think there's something with love that we get a little mixed up there because Jesus said, love everybody, right? Well, you can love from a distance. It doesn't mean everybody has to be your best friend. You should love everybody 100%. You should love everybody. Some people you're not going to like. Some
Yeah.
people, right? And like and love, totally different things. If you love somebody who is bringing you down, sometimes the very best thing you can do for them, not just you, but for them, is to let them free. Because
Yes.
if you're in a toxic relationship with somebody, which typically
Yes.
it's toxic if they're bringing you down, right? Then staying in that relationship is allowing that person to continue in that behavior. If
Yes.
you release them, then they can look and decide, do they want to continue to be that person or do they want to figure out what's going on that the relationship ended, right?
Yes.
What's their part in it and what could they do? And so real love, true deep love would say, let them go. Like a
Yes.
woman who's being hit, you don't have to stay. I know it's darn hard to leave. I mean, I would never judge that ever in a million years because everybody's story is different and it can be so hard to leave. But stay if you have to stay, but know that leaving is perfectly fine. Leaving is the best thing you can do for them, not just you. And so letting them be free of this toxic relationship can also change them. So let them go, let them go. So good for you recognizing that there are sometimes people that if they're bringing you down, they're just not the people that should be in your life. They're somebody else's people. They're just not your people, and that's okay. Kind of like when you're dating, and you can date the greatest guy, but
Yeah.
maybe he's not your guy. Well, that's
That's
okay.
right.
It's okay. He can still be a great guy. They can still be wonderful people, but from a distance, they just need to be distanced from you. And so good for you at such a young age to recognize that and allow yourself to do it. And then, you kind of got into a little bit of self-love in that what does that really mean, or how do we look at it? And I don't know about you, but I was kind of raised that self-love was selfish, like it's prideful,
Woo.
right?
Yes, especially in the church. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yes,
for
yeah,
sure, for sure.
yeah. And again, the
Yeah.
opposite is true. There's so much opposite with God. Have you noticed that? There's so many things that seem like they should be one way, but it's completely turned upside down and it's an entirely different way.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
he's the vine and we're the branches, right? So he's the source, but we have to also water ourselves and self-care, taking care, not only just like practically like with working out and things like that, but even the way you eat, the way that you, again, we talked about relationships, you operate in business, your character, your integrity, and then again, that it goes back to love. Like I'm now a part of the Real Mental Health Foundation. I'm an ally for Sean Lesser, and watching what Sean's done, he took a place of pain and he's made it a springboard for his purpose. That's the same thing I'm kind of doing with Living Waters. I mean, we are a for-profit company, but my goal is really to be for other Christians who want to get in the marketplace and want to make an impact. We do it by being excellent. And we do it by first pouring into ourselves and doing that inner work. I think that I won't necessarily say it's just self-care. I don't, I'll call it deep inner work because I'm such a fan of inner work. And there's a lot of amazing books on it. I read all the time. Right now I'm reading three books at the same time. One's about finance, and there's one called Genius Makers, but there's one, it's How to Change. I don't have it around me, but spectacular book. I think that we need to start here and cultivate and grow the garden here so that we can bloom outwardly.
That's such a great way to put it. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Yeah, because we've been taught the opposite, right? That it's selfish,
Yes.
it's whatever, it's whatever. The reality, though, is what you just said. If
Yep.
we don't love ourselves, it's darn hard to
It's
truly
hard.
love anybody else. And I think, sometimes people look at a magazine cover or they look at people on TV and they compare, compare, compare. Well, we were never meant to compare ourselves to others. Jesus
No.
never said, hey, by the way, get in line, I'll tell you who's prettiest, right? I mean, that never happened.
There's a scripture my mom quotes it a lot. I don't know where it is, but it's those who compare themselves among themselves are not wise.
Which
And
is
it's true. It's why would you compare? We're all, first of all, we're all different. You said that at the beginning of the call. Thank you for saying that. Especially as women, we have to give our girlfriends permission to be different from us. It's
and
okay
appreciate
to be
the
different.
differences, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because you're created to be exactly who you are. And,
Yeah.
like I really believe that purpose, your purpose in life, that sometimes people chase their purpose their whole life and wonder, what's my purpose? What's my purpose, right? Your purpose, I'm here to tell you, is to be exactly who God created you to be. That is your purpose. That's your purpose. Everything else falls in line with that. But
Yes.
that's your purpose. Be who God created you to be. And
Yeah.
God did not create you to run a restaurant today. You're
No.
doing what you're doing because that's how God created you. You've done what you've done because that's who God created you to be. And we all should admire and look at the wonder of that and realize that we are all different. Nobody ever exactly like you. Nobody ever will be. Nobody ever has been exactly like you. You are the only you. Sometimes, Lauren, I think about it like if you loved pumpkin pie or apple pie, let's say
I
you,
love pecan pie, raised in the South.
okay, pecan pie. There you
You
go.
know,
We'll
bring
go.
it on.
No
Not
kidding.
today because I'm getting snatched for summer, but soon enough.
Okay, all right. But so we'll go with pecan pie. So you love pecan pie.
I love it.
And if somebody presented you with this most delicious pecan pie
Yes.
and they made it, they made the crust, not one of those store-bought crusts. They made the
Yum.
crust. That takes some time, right? They made the
Yes.
filling. They didn't open a jar and put in the filling. They made the filling. Not only that, they grew the tree that grew the pecans that are in the pie. In
Mm,
fact, they created the dirt that helped the tree grow to make the pecans. They bring the water, the rain happens so that the tree can grow and rain
yes.
comes down. And so if all of this and this great creation that is this beautiful, delicious pumpkin pie, and you snub your nose at it, it's the same thing as going, wow, God, why don't I look different? Why is my body not different? Why am I not taller, shorter? You know, whatever people do to compare themselves, you're kind of snubbing your nose at God, right? Because He
Yes.
created it. He created it all. Your toenails. I mean, everything about
Yeah. Your
you.
fingerprints,
Exactly.
your
Everything.
elbows,
Right.
everything. Like
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
is.
Your
It's
fingernails.
amazing. And
Yeah.
that's something that I love about children. So while I was an undergrad, I did work in the hospital, but I also was a nanny for many, many years. And a lot of the families at Upper Room, I watched their children. Some still really close, like John and Katie and some other of my friends still. Those kids, man, I love that about kids. They don't think like that. They're just like, oh, I like that about, I like your hair. I like your bow. I think we as adults need to get back to that. I think we just need to learn to like the differences that we have. It's okay to be different. It's okay to be unique.
Yeah.
Jeremiah chapter 1, you're created uniquely and wonderfully.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. So embrace it.
Yes.
Embrace it and love yourself. The again, the most selfless thing that you can do is love yourself. So start there and figure out and I don't know, sometimes people beat themselves up and it's like stop beating yourself up. We all make mistakes. We all go through times that we might have some regrets, but regret shouldn't fester. Like you talked early on, like, you know, if you're carrying something, you're the one that's carrying it. It's hurting you. It's not hurting the other person.
Correct.
It's hurting you if you let your past mistakes determine who you are today in a
Yes.
negative way, right? Hopefully they helped you grow. And so in a positive way. But if you're carrying it as this negative baggage, man, let it go. That was yesterday. Yesterday means nothing because today is today and the future is the future, right? Today is the most important day. So live for today, forget all of that and live for today.
I
So,
love what you said about living for today. I admire that about you and even like being on this show today. I'm so grateful. I think a lot of times people look at the highlight reels from their past, like the high school reunion or this and oh, the good old days. No, the good days are ahead. The great days are ahead.
mhm.
Like let's look forward. We have to look forward. That it's in the word of God. He talks about press towards the mark, the high calling. Like we have to keep moving forward. If we keep only looking back, we can look back and we can learn, but remember Lot's wife. Okay? We don't look back, we move ahead.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. Exactly. Oh my gosh. So true. And this has been so good. I so appreciate you, everything about you. I'm excited to see where life brings you. I'm excited to
Hey,
see where you are today because
thank you.
you're in a really good place
Yeah, I'm in a
and
great
and
place.
you've worked to get there and you're doing it and you do it right. And I don't know. I love you, Lauren. You're amazing.
Oh, I love you too, Kim. Thank you for your genuine kindness and just even the opportunity to present and to speak. And I'm in this season of coming out of my shell a little bit more and just recovering. I had gone through a season, especially last year and in 2024, of entrepreneurial fatigue where we were doing okay, but I just wasn't sure like if we going to see the results? Were we going to be able to do this and stay afloat, especially after the COVID environment? But we've pushed through and I'm better because of it. I'm not perfect. Made plenty of mistakes, but we're still here. It's 2026.
Mhm. Yeah. Amen. That's so true. So
That's
true.
crazy. I thank God that I woke up today full of joy and peace. I took my nice walk today. It's sunny in New York City. What a blessing.
hmm
What a
hmm
blessing.
Yeah, yeah, gratitude, right? Yes, yeah, recognizing the blessing is a big part of it. Yeah, I love it. This has been wonderful, Lauren. Thank you so much. How can people reach out to you?
Yeah, so you can check out my website, www.livingwaterslife.org. That's my main page. Essentially, you can also email me at lauren@livingwaterslife.org. We are focused on now, working with a few family offices. I now have really transitioned into the trust, estate, and insurance side. So I'm not so much working on the capital deployment with Living Waters, but I'm happy to talk to anyone, especially those who are passionate about giving and want to connect with more families who are focused on philanthropy, focused on their faith, and focused on, creating real change in the world. And we've got some exciting infrastructure and medical companies that we've also been looking at on the transaction side. And then they can also reach out to me on LinkedIn. If you look up, I think it's Lauren AY is my LinkedIn. I do also work internally for a single family office. They're very private, but if people are looking for capital access, they want to know more about, especially the buy side of the capital markets, I would love to talk with them. And then lastly, if you ever need any prayer, you can always email me and say, I need a prayer, and I will send you a voice note prayer. My clients know this, my friends know this. I really believe that God has called me to pray. That's one of my primary missions as not only a business owner and an intercessor, but as a believer. And, people need love, people need prayer. So, yeah.
I love that. I love that. And
Yep.
we'll have all that in the show notes too.
Please, please. And
So,
my
yeah.
Instagram is at about I think it's the about becoming Lauren. Yes, about becoming Lauren.
Oh,
And
I love
my personal one is Chosen Lore. So they can follow me on either platform. So
Yeah, yeah, that's so good. That's so good. Yeah, this has been awesome. I could talk to you for days, of course, and
yes, yeah, I don't want to take up
appreciate
days,
you.
Maya. Thank you.
Yeah, but I appreciate you so much and appreciate all the wisdom that you shared today and shared so openly. And so thank you, thank you, thank you for that. And thank you everybody for joining us. If you know somebody who this episode could help, pass it on. Pass it on. Lauren said some really amazing things today. If you know maybe an entrepreneur who's struggling or somebody who's struggling with their faith or whatever it happens to be, if something in this episode hit you for somebody else, pass it on. Make sure that you pass it on. And I just want to say that until we see each other again, I pray that you keep your heart open and you live your love loud.